A woman called 911 from a gated community on Long Island. She was terrified, rambling, begging for help. Then she ran into the darkness. That call, logged by the Oak Beach police dispatcher on May 1st, 2010, was the accidental thread that began unraveling one of the most disturbing serial murder cases in modern American history. Here is what makes this case unlike any other. Everything investigators found, they were never supposed to find. And the more they uncovered, the less they could explain. By the time this was over, at least 10 sets of human remains had been pulled from the brush along a single stretch of Long Island Highway. Some victims had been dead for years, some were never fully identified. And for over a decade, the person responsible walked completely free. Let that settle for a moment. The woman who made that 911 call was Shannan Gilbert, a 24-year-old from New Jersey. She had been working as an escort and was last seen fleeing a client's home in Oak Beach in the early hours of that May morning. Police initially treated her disappearance as a runaway situation. They were wrong to do that. When investigators finally began searching for Shannan in December of 2010, within days, they found something no one expected. 4 sets of human remains, all wrapped in burlap, all within a half-mile of each other along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. The victims were later identified as Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Amber Lynn Costello, and Megan Waterman. All 4 were young women. All 4 had advertised escort services on Craigslist. All 4 had vanished between 2007 and 2010. Gone. Discarded along a stretch of road that thousands of people drove past every single day. The search continued. And this is the part nobody talks about openly enough. The remains they found next were not what investigators were prepared for. A toddler, an Asian male, an unidentified woman, later called Jane Doe No. 6. Remains belonging to a woman named Jessica Taylor, whose torso had previously been discovered miles away in Manorville years earlier. The killer, or killers, had been active far longer than anyone realized. Shannan Gilbert herself was found in December 2011, in a marsh less than a mile from where she had vanished. Her manner of death was ruled undetermined. Some investigators and advocates have argued that Shannan Gilbert's death should be examined in the context of the broader Gilgo Beach case. Others, including the medical examiner who reviewed the evidence, concluded she most likely drowned while fleeing in a panicked state. The question has never been fully resolved, and no charges related to her death have been filed. For 11 years, the case went cold. No arrests, no charges. The FBI and Suffolk County Police conducted a years-long, large-scale investigation, one that drew national attention and involved significant resources, and yet for over a decade came up with nothing the courts could use to bring charges. And then something changed. In July of 2023, Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan architect who was 59 years old at the time of his arrest and had spent decades working just blocks from Times Square, was taken into custody. DNA evidence recovered from discarded items, burner phone records traced to locations near the victims, and forensic hair analysis all pointed toward him. More charges followed. Then more victims were confirmed. Year after year, the scope of what this man had done kept expanding. Heuermann had a wife, adult children, and a professional office. Neighbors and colleagues described him as someone whose behavior had not raised alarm, a man whose life appeared from every outward angle completely ordinary. That detail changes everything. On April 8, 2026, Rex Heuermann stood in a Suffolk County courtroom and pleaded guilty to murdering 7 women. He also admitted to killing an 8th. 7 confirmed murders, an 8th admitted, from a man who, for years, had walked freely through one of the most surveilled cities on Earth. On June 17, 2026, just 2 days ago, Judge Timothy Mazzei handed down the sentence. 3 consecutive life sentences, plus 4 consecutive terms of 25 years to life. Heuermann will never leave prison. He will face no further prosecution, but as part of the agreement he must cooperate fully with the FBI going forward, meaning there may still be information about victims, locations, and circumstances that has not yet been made public. The confirmed victims include Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Amber Lynn Costello, and Megan Waterman, the 4 women found along Ocean Parkway in December 2010, plus additional victims confirmed through the guilty plea. Remember what I said at the start. That woman, running in the dark, calling 911. Shannan Gilbert did not set out to expose a serial killer. She was simply trying to survive the night. But that call, that single act of desperation in a quiet gated community on Long Island, cracked open something that had been buried for years along that lonely stretch of highway. So here is the question that still hangs over this case, even now that a sentence has been handed down. Heuermann must cooperate with the FBI, which means the investigation is not over. There are victims still unidentified. There are questions about others who may have operated in the same area. And somewhere in whatever Heuermann tells investigators next, there may be answers that have been buried even longer than the women themselves.